like my new background. I realise you're never going to see this bit because my head's always going to be in the way, but you know what, it doesn't matter, you know who I am. Links in the description below. Hello and welcome to Tipsy OTPs, the series where I get drunk and talk about OTPs whilst being tipsy. This week, we're talking about Hannigram, as in Hannibal and Will from the show Hannibal, because I finished the last episode of this show today. I know, I'm about like 3 years late to all of this shit. And yes, I may have known what was going to happen at the very end from the very beginning because I'm on Tumblr and you really cannot avoid doing that. But I watched it anyway, and by God, is that show amazing. I've got this gorgeous little tiny bottle of very expensive Grey Goose vodka that I'm going to drink today because I think Hannibal would approve, but I don't want to drink that much because honestly this is the type of show where you have to be really academic when you talk about it because otherwise you just have no idea what's going on. If you lose concentration for 30 seconds, you go away and you come back and they're already 30 lines into some weird metaphorical description and you're just like, okay, sorry, who's God in this metaphor? Who's the lamb? Why is there a deer? Is this real? Is this not real? Oh look, there's two lesbians having sex through a kaleidoscope. Can I just say, Alana Bloom, I did not expect you to become the busting bisexual powerhouse that you became in that series, but by God was I not complaining the fact that she did. Yes, girl, you work that suit, I love it. Okay, so now on to Will and Hannibal. Ooh, that is nice vodka. Ooh, it's fruity almost. With most of these tipsy OTPs, I can flout on about how everyone is obviously missing the flirting happening between these two characters and that they're all blind, because that's what I do. I like a good old bit of queer interpretation in my media. However, with Hannibal, if you miss the queer undertones in this show, I don't think you've watched this show. Will literally says, "Is Hannibal in love with me?" And Cordelia literally answers in some, again, weird metaphorical way, "Yes, but do you ache for him?" I can't remember if that's the exact quote. The sentiment remains the same. If you miss that bit, that was obviously your loo break because it's obvious that they're in love. But the point is, for these two deeply, deeply damaged psychopathic people, what does love mean? Let's do a bit of cheeky English student analysis here. In my opinion, the definition of love in this show is one of consuming, because both literally and metaphorically, Will and Hannibal want to consume one another. This consumption can come in the form of sexuality, so the sexual undertones in the scenes that they're in, the long glances, the way that they shot that scene where they're each having sex with different people but they frame it and cut it in such a way that it looks like they're having sex with one another. It's the romantic undertones, the way that Hannibal cuts up and creates this giant heart out of a dead mangled body. I grant you mixed signals for Will because his heart is broken by their betrayal. It's the trust that they have in one another. So you've got all of those sort of your archetypal love tropes over here, but also with Hannibal you have the darker sides of love and consumption, and that is literal consumption, as this is a show about cannibals. It's the various undertones that you have with the idea of wanting to eat someone, right? But also with that literal consumption comes other ideas of wanting to destroy and kill, which is weirdly the opposite of and sort of symbiotic with love. Am I too drunk? Because there's also the fact that, ooh, that's strong vodka. Because there's also the fact that, ooh, oh dear, I had too much of that. Oh my God, I apologise. A lot of the time, they absolutely hate each other. Like, they love each other, but they absolutely hate each other at the same time. They destroyed each other's lives in many ways. Hannibal is a man obsessed with control and appearance and aesthetic. And I don't mean aesthetic in the aesthetic sense. I mean aesthetic in the old arts aesthetic sense. Everything about him, from his appearance to his personality to his cooking to his office, is constructed to be appealing and beautiful and a veneer for the monstrosity that he's hiding inside. And up to the point where he meets Will, that construction, his human suit, is very much intact and he's untouchable. But as soon as Will comes in, they are, for each other, the first person who is able to see past their human suit. Will is the first person to see past Hannibal's lies, and Hannibal is able to see past a lot of the good things in Will, to see the potential for bad and for death and the weird also beauty that comes with that in this show. Oh my god, And there's another paradox in this show with the terms psychopath, because we have this connotation, a psychopath is someone who has no feelings, has no inner emotions and doesn't empathize. But this show it suggests this idea that actually psychopaths have the most empathy more than anyone else. Bedelia talks about how next time you see something suffering, you should show it pity and kill it rather than show it pity and save it, because it's weak. So when you come from the angle that psychopath is synonymous for intense empathy, Will, who has an empathy disorder, who empathizes too much with serial killers, puts into a weird perspective that both Hannibal and Will are ends of the psychopath scale, but they're both still psychopaths. Oh my god, this is too deep. This is meant to be a fun series where I talk about how everything has queer undertones, and that's the way it should be. To jump the gun a bit, the ending, skip this part by the way if you haven't seen the ending, skip it to like a minute or so ahead, is deep. It's back to that consumption idea again, that there was no way that they were gonna make it out of that situation or that relationship alive. There was no way that that relationship between the two of them could have worked long term. They were going to consume and take from one another until there was nothing left. I understand why they ended it like that, because that was the pinnacle point. That was where they understood each other the most, and they accepted and revealed all of the aspects of both of their personalities, both good and bad. If those two terms can even be thrown around in this show. Apart from the dogs. The dogs are the only good with a capital G main characters in this show. Sad but true. I kind of like it that way. So why should you ship them? I mean, like, honestly, if you refuse to acknowledge the love and the romantic and the consuming and the sexual and all of the undertones of their relationship that you have to have an open mind to in this show, right? If you refuse to acknowledge those aspects of their relationship, you are missing out on one of the most important posed questions that this show raises over the course of its 3 seasons, and that is, what do you do when what you love the most is what you hate the most, and who brings out all the best and the worst in you? And what do you do when a person who is so, evil's not the right word, but it is, who's so evil that they would do things like eat people and murder people? What do you do when they understand you better than anyone else in the world? What do you do? Fuck, I don't know. I'm just a girl standing in front of Brian Fuller, thanking him for actually acknowledging the queer undertones in a show. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed this week's Tipsy OTPs. If you want to see me do another OTP, doesn't matter if it's gay, straight, canon, not canon, heavily implied, just go for it. Leave it down in the comment below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like or subscribe if you haven't already. Do you like Merlin, by the way? Sorry, I'm just really pleased with this new set, sorry. Okay, right, I'll see you guys later. Bye!